What is going on, Headliner Nation? Jake and Kyle, fantasy headliners, coming at you here in 2020. And Kyle, we're not talking NFL fantasy football. We're talking XFL football, which is probably going to be something I'll mess up a time or two in this video because I just can't get used to saying XFL. It just sounds weird, but it's right around the corner, and there's some difference in rules that we should probably discuss and talk about here, since a lot of people are going to be checking it out here in just a couple weeks.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm excited for it. I'm ready to see it. I'm a little bit more excited for this than I was for the AFL for some reason or another, but definitely excited to see this. It's going to help pass the time a little bit, especially for all of us that love football, which if you're watching this, you probably love football in some way, shape, or form. And there's going to be some betting. There's going to be some fantasy sports. We started a Fantasy Headliners XFL Fantasy League today. It's got you and myself and some of our writers in it, so that's going to be a lot of fun. The one thing about the XFL is they're encouraging this. They want to see the gambling with the DFS and the prop bets and the fantasy. And I mean, they're encouraging people with these rule changes. So let's get Headliner Nation up to speed on some of these rules, because we're going to be talking XFL as long as the league hangs around. Hopefully it's all season long.
Yeah, I mean, if it hangs around and people actually care about it, we're going to talk about it. If everybody watches week one and be like, I hate this crap, then we're probably not going to talk about it. But it all just depends. But we want to try to give it a shot. Like you said, we're football fans, right? So we want to talk as much football as we can. And this just gives us an excuse to do it for a few more months, especially in the lull of the NFL season that we'll have over the next few weeks. Excluding the combine and upcoming draft and stuff like that. This is something to fill those holes, I guess you could say. Fill the gap, Kyle. We're going to fill the gap. Anyway, let's get into the first one. I think the XFL as an overall, and we're going to put some of these up here on the screen so you can kind of follow us along. It's really meant to keep the fans on the edge of their seat. It's going to be a quick-moving, fast-paced, high-scoring type affairs that could really keep you interested in the first one, the first major change. It's similar to a college rule. Only need 1 foot in bounds to have a completed reception here in the XFL.
Yeah, the one thing that we tend to have an issue with in the NFL, or the NFL has an issue with itself, is what is a completed catch? Well, they're trying to make that rule a little bit more simplified, and by doing that, you only have to get 1 foot in bounds. So there's a few catches here and there that maybe you wouldn't normally get. But I think the reason that they add this rule is because more than likely you're going to see some of these guys coming out of college who couldn't necessarily make the NFL go to the XFL instead. So keeps the game a little bit more similar for them. They don't have to think about and make that change. So it'll probably help the game speed a little bit with that, and potentially help with some big plays as well.
Yep, absolutely. It's going to be something, we're not going to be talking about that. What do they call it? Toe drag swag.
Toe drag swag.
I can't say it because I'm an adult male, so it just sounds kind of weird. But I mean, that's like a term that a lot of people use. All right, next one, running clock. Now, there's going to be a running clock all game long, with the exception of the last 2 minutes. And at the last 2 minutes, it'll stop after every single play. It's going to really make that momentum really carry quicker. I mean, there's only a 25-second play clock here also, so it's definitely going to be something that is really fast-paced and really meant to keep the offenses moving back and forth.
Yeah, not only that, but they're really saying to the audience, whoever that ends up being, saying to the audience, hey, we want to get this game in. I mean, I'm going to link it to soccer a little bit, okay? And if you don't like soccer out there,
Football.
no worries there. I'm just in terms of the times, you know, with a soccer game, they're going to play 95 minutes potentially with some stoppage. I don't think that's it.
Oh, sorry. Is that what you're talking about?
That is not what I was talking about. For the time limits, though, they're looking at the audience and saying, this is what you have to basically commit to on a Saturday or a Sunday in terms of time. So, hey, I'm going to sit down for this amount of time. I'm going to get a chance to watch a football game. It's going to move fast. There's not going to be a whole bunch of commercials. It's going to keep our attention, because as a nation, we don't have a very long attention span anymore these days, but some of that instant gratification as well. So the game is going to be moving. Halftime is also going to be shorter. So they're really trying to condense things to make a really quick moving product that people are going to want to sit down and watch for a way more short of amount of time than it would take an NFL game to get done.
Yeah, plus only 2 timeouts per half also. So they're cutting that back also. Now the next one, I really like the next one. This one is going to add something to a football game that a majority of the viewers will never really get a chance to see. All of the skill players are going to have helmets with the two ways in them to where they can hear the coaches speaking, not just the quarterback, and it's not something that's going to cut off before a certain section of the play clock. But the best part about it is they're going to have that available to the broadcast. Now, are we going to get to hear it live? Probably not, unless we want to hear a bunch of F-bombs on national TV. But it's probably going to be something where we'll get a little bit more of an inside look as the game is being played and what's going on and what the play calls sound like. And I think that's just going to add a different perspective. That's something that I'm kind of looking forward to listening to.
Yeah, I mean, that's great for America, because then America can really tune into what's going on, what's going through the minds of these coaches. And again, just a little bit more of an entertainment factor there to keep people glued to the TV a little bit longer. But that's great for us, for guys and girls that are going to be breaking down the game and looking at tape and trying to understand what these offenses are doing. It's going to give us a little bit of an inside look into what the coaches are thinking as they go throughout the game. So it'll be really great for us to be able to look at some of these games and watch them and hear those. So then we can say, hey, for the next week, this is something they really tried doing. They might be doing it again, or they could change whatever it may be. It's going to help us evaluate that film a little bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. That's just a different aspect of the game that, if it works out properly, could really, I don't want to say just boost ratings, but that's going to be a big draw for a lot of the diehard football fans right there that are, lifers for the NFL. This may kind of draw them in a little bit. Next one, and this is kind of an entire section. We're going to talk about kicking, because kicking in the XFL is not exactly what it is in the NFL. A lot of differences. And we'll start off with kickoffs. There's no running coverage on kickoffs for the coverage teams until the ball is caught or has been on the ground for at least 3 seconds. There's not going to be the traditional kickoff, type of returns. It's going to look different. They're going to look similar to kind of punt returns, but the kicking team is not going to be able to cross that line of scrimmage until that ball is caught or on the ground for 3 seconds.
Yeah, which is it is a couple of different things. It's going to bring the kickoff back, and it's a very exciting play. However, over the last few years, we've seen it basically become irrelevant in the NFL because of the injuries that come from it. So the XFL, starting with a clean slate, looking at, and they took feedback. I mean, there was a chance for the common fan to write feedback to the XFL and say, this is what we want. And this was one of the things that they pinpointed, that by instituting this rule, we can get the kickoff back and have that be exciting play again, but we can make it safer because the players are not going to be running full speed at each other. Yes, the kick returner is going to be basically running at full speed, but the guy coming from the other side will not be. So hopefully it makes it a little bit safer for them, but it brings back that exciting play and gives us some more to root for.
Yeah, and it brings back the whole offensive side of the game. They're going to score a lot of points. A lot shorter fields are going to be happening, in the XFL than you probably see in the NFL. Let's see, as far as punting goes, a little bit different here. There's no more trying to pin a team deep and punting it out of bounds and having it cross inside the 10. There's no coffin corners in the XFL. It's just not going to be that way. So if the ball goes into the end zone, it'll automatically come out to the 35, not the 20 like the NFL. If the ball goes out of bounds, it's also going to come to the 35. If it goes out of bounds, further down the field than the 35, then that's the spot that where it's going to take. But there's no more pinning teams deep. This is definitely going to be another aspect of the game that's going to change things. You can't just, kick a ball out of bounds at the 15 and get a long field anymore. The field position game won't be the same. Also, the punt team cannot cross the line of scrimmage also until the ball is kicked off the punter's foot. I mean, it's just a completely different aspect as far as kicking goes.
Yeah, and again, rules aimed at increasing scoring, increasing excitement, really getting us to the point. Because what do we love? We love scoring. We love offense.
We love to score.
I mean, me personally, if a game is 10-6, as long as it's a good game, not a sloppy game, I'm all right with it. I don't know why you're winking at Headliner Nation, but I'm not going to ask any questions.
Ask Kyle. You didn't hear what I said, but it's okay. They heard what I said.
I didn't hear what you said. I'm sure they did, though. So, it's going to bring back some of that excitement. Most of America, when they watch this, they're going to want to see as much action as possible, and that's what they're setting these teams up to do.
Yep, absolutely. All right, next thing. There's a rule that allows double forward passes, which sounds crazy, but that first pass still has to be behind the line of scrimmage. So you don't have to throw the ball backwards anymore like you do in an NFL game to consider it more of a lateral than a forward pass. A quarterback can drop back from the shotgun, throw a forward pass 2 yards, still behind the line of scrimmage, and then that player can do another forward pass down the field. This is where it could get a little a little tricky at times because a lot of people aren't going to be expecting that, and it could lead to some huge plays in this league.
I'm going to call this right now. We're designing this play. Let's step into the office of Coach Richardson because we're going to design a play right now. So you see this sometimes where the quarterback is in shotgun and maybe you have a running back next to him. Maybe not, just depends on what the formation is, but a wide receiver from either side will come in motion. And when the snap happens, the wide receiver is kind of at the quarterback right then. So the quarterback catches the ball and just kind of tosses it in front of him, a little toss to the wide receiver that counts as a forward pass. It's still behind the line of a scrimmage. Now in the NFL, wide receiver takes that ball, he's going to have to take it around and he's going to have to try and do something with it. However, now here in the XFL, you can get a little bit more creative with it. If you do something like that, the wide receiver sweeping around the corner there is going to draw the attention of maybe the linebackers or the corner playing on the other side of the field. If that happens, the wide receiver can release and go around the cornerback and be wide open there. Little toss over the cornerback. It could also release the tight end. If the linebacker is not standing there on the tight end, it could also make him open as well. We love our tight ends around here at the Fantasy Headliners, but you could release the tight end there, go around it could open up a lot of big plays. So watch for that week 1. I think we see some of those plays a little bit.
I mean, this would be something that would be fun to watch the Saints do with Drew Brees and Taysom Hill, heck, even Teddy Bridgewater. Can you imagine all 3 of them in the game at once, being able to do two forward passes? That would be something I would look forward to, but no, the XFL is going to have to fill that void for us. Next thing up is going to be what happens after the touchdown, the point afters. And there is no kicking field goals for your 1 extra point here in the XFL. No, that would be too boring. How do they do it? You have to run an offensive play, but you get a couple different options. If you're running it from the 2-yard line, you have a chance at 1 point. From the 5-yard line, a chance for 2 points. Back it out to the 10-yard line, a chance for 3, but there's a little bit of risk here. If you turn the ball over, if you throw an interception, if you fumble it and the defense returns it all the way to their end zone, they're going to score the points that you were trying to get. This is going to add a different aspect also. I mean, this is just another way to keep these scores higher and the audience more engaged. And I mean, a lot of people really don't pay attention to extra points anyway because, I mean, lately that's kind of been like the black eye of the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, they tried to fix the extra point, and I just don't think it's worked the way that they had hoped for. However, I really love this rule addition for the XFL because it's going to keep games closer and within reach. Because you could be down by 9 points, and it is still going to be a 1-score game. So go down, get your 6, go for 3, and now you've tied the game up. You could also go for 3 and win it, or go for 2 and win. So it's just going to keep games a lot closer. So I really love this addition. I like that they've added it. I think it's going to make things more exciting, and I think it's going to keep fans on the edge of their seat for every single play after touchdown.
Yeah, it just adds to it. I mean, this is going to be one of those critical plays. It's not just something where the kicker trots out and kicks the extra point. I mean, this is going to have a lot more, final score implications than it does in the NFL. This is definitely one of those rules that's a little bit fun to look forward to here for the XFL.
Yep.
Last thing here is overtime. Everybody hates to see the tie ball games in the NFL. We're not going to have to worry about any ties in the XFL. It's kind of like hockey style shootout. You get 5 rounds and you get 2 points per converted play. I mean, this is something where you're just trying to get as many conversions out of those 5 as you can. If you're still tied after 5, it kind of goes to a sudden death until one team does not score. Obviously, highest score wins. Defense can't score here. It would just count as a stop, and then, no points for the offense. Going back and forth for 5 rounds could be something fun and exciting to watch for overtime also.
Yes, and we've been begging for this for years as NFL fans. The rules that they have right now are absolutely ridiculous. So why would you not give a team a shot to win in overtime? I mean, a team marches down and scores a touchdown, it's over with at that point. The other team doesn't even get a shot to try and win the game. That's ridiculous. Let's do away with that. Let's get over it and move away from it. I like the college overtime rules a lot better, but this right here is even more exciting for me. I used to watch a lot of hockey, don't have nearly as much time anymore, but I loved those shootouts. It was such an exciting time, fans standing in their seats, really just a little bit of a wrinkle here at the end of games that, again, we're not going to have any ties, but it's really, really, really exciting at the end of the game.
Yeah, I mean, overall, the things that we've just, discussed is going to be a different viewing experience for the fan. Does it last? It didn't last time. Obviously, it's a somewhat different product now, and it would be great to have something else out there following the NFL season. They'll kick off the week after the Super Bowl, so it's literally as one ends, another one will start. So if this is a good product, if they can get some players that really start making names for themselves and making these games interesting, and they're selling tickets, this could be a pretty fun product. I mean, I kind of consider it something similar to maybe like arena football, something that was just different, a different aspect, a different type of football, but it still keeps that casual fan. It has enough of the core of the game to keep it, watchable for a lot of people. And this could be really exciting. I'm kind of hoping that it sticks, but that could just be my love for football.
Yeah, no, I'm hoping it sticks too. And I think they make it at least 1 year because they have a massive TV deal. These games are going to be on ESPN and Fox. These aren't going to be on second tier networks. So they have a massive TV deal, and they only have 8 teams. So there's not a bunch of overhead on trying to support a bunch of teams throughout the country. They have only 8 teams right now. So let's just keep our fingers crossed. As football fans, we should be rooting for the XFL to exist. It gives the NFL maybe a minor league component in the future where you could see guys going up and down between teams, kind of the same way minor league hockey works. We should be rooting for this to succeed. So make sure you're playing some XFL DFS. Make sure you're getting out there and doing some XFL fantasy football. Support the league, watch the games, and let's get some more football throughout the year so we don't have to sit around for several months without it.
And one question I want to ask you real quick, Kyle, and we didn't talk about this beforehand, so I'm putting you on the spot. But I also want to know what the people think out there that are watching it down below in the comment section, what their opinion is. Do you see possibly in the future this being an avenue for players to go and make money out of, and not have to finish college and get all their eligibility through college and get to the NFL out of the XFL instead?
I 100% think it's going to happen at some point in time. Maybe not right away, because right now college players, if they were to forego any eligibility, with the XFL still being a very new league, just watching the American football line, whatever it was, I forget what it was called, but watching that fold after just a few weeks, you're not going to want to forgo college football. But if the league gets, to be 2, 3, 4 years old, you could see some college players at that point say, you know what, I'm going to forgo my final season or something like that. I'm going to go play in the XFL, win some, get some money there, get myself even further along in my advancement with my skills, and then go to the NFL after that. So I do believe this is something we are going to see in the future if the XFL can exist for longer.
Could you imagine like a Trevor Lawrence from Clemson, instead of having to come back there for his 3rd year, he could just leave school, go to the XFL, play for a year, and then enter the NFL draft? That's something that we'll probably end up talking about a lot more in depth. We're like Kyle said earlier, we're going to go more XFL videos here to start the season. We're going to break down some of the rosters, some of the teams that you may not know, some players that you may need to watch. Those videos are going to be coming here over the coming weeks, so make sure you check those out. But this is a super new product, and me and Kyle are learning right along with you. So if there's things that you don't know, if there's things that you have questions about, put them down below in the comment section between yourselves and us. We'll figure this out, and we'll do it pretty quick, but more than anything, we want to give it a chance. There's an opportunity here for a big market and for a lot of fun and exciting weekend games. I'm all about it, but let's do it together. Let's help each other learn and grow here as a channel, as a community, not just NFL football. Now it's XFL football. So leave those comments down below. We're interested to know what you guys think about this league. Kyle and I will get to as many of your questions and comments and concerns and whatever else you may have down below here as soon as you leave them. But we really appreciate the support. Make sure you hit that like button. And also, if you're new here, this may be the first video you've seen. It's not just XFL here. We do a lot of NFL. We'll be going to the Combine, to the NFL Draft. We cover the NFL all year long. This is just like the cherry on top, like maybe some sprinkles, some hot fudge, whatever you want to call it. We're just adding to the repertoire. I said repertoire. That's a big word for me, Kyle.
Wow.
I couldn't spell it for you, but I like it. Anyway, this just adds some depth to the channel, and make sure you check out our website, thefantasyheadliners.com. We'll have a lot of other information up there for you to check out also. But we greatly appreciate the support for myself and for Kyle. We thank you. Hopefully you guys have a great rest of your week. We'll talk to you later.